What is going on, everybody? I finally have become a man of my word. I told Mariah and 49er Faithfully Pod that I was going to have them on, or at least try to get them on. It's finally happened. So without further ado, Mariah, Taryn from 49er Faithfully Pod, how you both doing? And you guys ready to talk some Niners?
Yeah, I'm doing good. Thank you for having us. Glad we finally can make this happen.
Yeah, I appreciate you having us on. It's always a blessing, and for somebody to ask us to be on, the 49er community is awesome in my book. So
Absolutely. Absolutely. I've been watching you guys for a bit. I kept saying to Mariah, because Mariah's always in the chat all the time, always spreading love. And it was just a matter of I saw her on Twitter. She can, like I said, off camera, she'd be so spicy sometimes. And I'm like, you know what? I'm freaking sending her an invite. I go back to work on Wednesday. I'm going to try it. Sunday night happened to work for both of you. So rock on. Awesome. I guess before we get started talking Niners real quick, if either of you want to just share real quick what your channel's about and your 49er story, what got you into being a 49er fan, share as little or as less as you want. And after that, we'll bang on this preseason game a little bit.
Yeah, I've been a 49er fan probably, I think, since I was in 6th grade. I won't tell you a year because, then you'll figure out how old I am.
That's all right.
So we'll just keep it at 6th grade.
That's right.
And pretty much, I was born and raised in Las Vegas, so we didn't have a football team at the time. And my best friend's family were all 49ers fans. And then my aunt, who I was always with when I was growing up, her boyfriend was also a 49ers fan, and his sons and everybody. So just being around them, that's how, I learned about football. He, taught me a lot about football. So that's just the team that, I was around with them. So that's the team I gravitated towards and been a 49er fan ever since. So, yeah. We have our own channel. We are actually having our year anniversary on Friday.
Nice.
So yeah, we just, talk 49ers, pretty chill, laid back. Yeah, like to keep it real, We don't sugarcoat anything. We're going to tell you how we feel. And yeah.
yeah, that's awesome. First and foremost, I was going to say I am truly honored that Mariah came to me and asked me actually to be her co-host. I know
Nice.
she a little shy at first. She did a couple shows with a few guests here and there, but didn't really have like a consistent co-host, just having random guests. And then she asked me one day to do a show, and we just decided, yeah, hey, this is a good team. We kind of, and Mariah has said this before, her and I don't talk about topics before the show. Mariah has her topics. I get on and she's like, okay, let's talk about this. And we just talk about it and it just flows. It's perfect. I live here in Vegas as well. I've only been living here for about 7 years, but I moved from California as a lot of people do. A lot of people come here from California. My dad actually was born and raised in San Francisco. He was raised in Hunters Point, and he's Bay Area all the way through. He's a Warriors fan, San Francisco Giants and Niners. So I became a fan. I was watching football with him when I was in the 1st, 2nd grade, asking him, what does 3 and out mean? What does 3rd and 15 mean? And he was kind of explaining that to me. And then so he was always about his football. He loved football and stuff. And he always told me and my brother, which was funny, he goes, I don't care if you like the Golden State Warriors. I don't care if you like the San Francisco Giants, but please be a 49ers fan. He would just he loved his Niners. So yeah, me and my brother and my sister actually are all 49ers fans. So we kind of followed suit. It's kind of funny because in a household with that we lived in, it was just me. It was me, my mom. It was me, my brother, sister, mom, and dad. My mom's a Rams fan, actually. So it was a mess, going through a bunch of stuff. But yeah, so that's pretty much how I became a 49ers fan. I'm glad I made the choice I did, just sitting down with my dad and him explaining stuff to me made me fall in love even more. And it was, just one of those things where I stopped. I started liking them. And ever since then, I've been a 49ers fan. I haven't changed. I've been fan through thick and thin. I got to see let me see. We've been to the Super Bowl 7 times. I think I saw 4 of them. So I got to see the ones I remember, I can say. Saw the one in '89 against Denver when we beat them 55-10. And then I'm telling my age now when I saw them when they beat 55-10. And then I also saw them when they beat the Chargers in '94. So, yeah. So that's pretty much it. That's my story there for being a Niners fan.
I was born in '79. I'll let you guys know. Didn't get into football. Nice. Didn't get into football until I was about 9 years old. So about 1989. I'm not going to go into the whole story about how I had a family member meet Joe Montana in Sicily, but pretty much my mom's born in Sicily. She has he's a third cousin to me, second cousin to her. Whatever he does for a living over there, he meets a lot of like famous folk and they kind of shows him around the town, this kind of the other. And he met Joe Montana and his wife. Long story short, I heard the story. He came here in, trying to think what year he came in. He used to visit from time to time, late 80s. And I had a neighbor who was a Bills fan down the hill from where I live. He was like my best friend growing up. He's a huge Buffalo Bills fan. And he taught me the football part of it. And then the fan in me was like, who's this Joe Montana guy? Oh, he's Italian Irish, just like me. Sweet. And that was kind of the genesis. And then I remember the Denver Super Bowl, of course. But what really made me a Niners fan was the heartbreak of the Giants beating the 49ers and ending the chance for the three-peat. Joe Montana being knocked out of the game. I remember crying my eyes out when that happened. I was 11 years old. I was crying. I don't know why. And then crying when the Bills lost the Super Bowl to the Giants. So already I had learned that hate for the rival. You know what I mean? I was so mad. And then, of course, we all know the Dallas and what happened with Dallas. And so I was a Montana guy all the way. Could not stand Steve Young for the longest time. When Steve Young won the Super Bowl, I think I kind of converted, but I was always going to be a Joe Montana guy till the day I die. Even with Brady being the GOAT, supposedly, Joe's still the dude for me. Yeah, I've been a 49ers fan over 30 years. And like you, Taryn, I've been through and probably Mariah too. We've been up through the hot and the cold, the really good years, the really lean years. And that's what makes a true fan. I would say to these Patriots fans who've been living this fantasy for 20 years, let me see how you're doing when Belichick's gone, Brady's gone, and everybody else is gone. You still a fan? You still showing up to games? You still rocking your gear? Everybody knows who I am. They always see me rocking my 49er stuff, regardless, all the time, in Rochester, New York. No, you know what I mean? That's how you know the true fans from the ones that only do, oh, we're doing good. Let me go dust off my jersey. It's like, what? No. Yeah. Everything should be pristine. You should be wearing it all the time. So, yeah, interesting. Sorry to go on a big tangent, but real quickly, I just want to say hi to the chat. We got some of our regulars in here. We got Robert Davis. I think he popped this in before the chat actually became a chat before the stream started. He says Trey Lance is going to make him dance. We got 49ers throwback in here. He's saying hi to you two, Mariah and Taryn. Herbert the Perv, he's my buddy Steve. He's a gamer buddy. Yes, he's a big Family Guy fan. David McNew, of course, says hello to you guys and myself as well. He's always a supporter of the channel. 49er minded Bashar, love Bashar. We always talk pizza. If we're not talking 49ers, we're talking pizza. Debbie Ryan is in here. She says, blessings, y'all. I appreciate the passion you all have for the 49ers. Keep sharing your points of view. I love it. And let's see who else we got here. And that's pretty much it, you know. Thank you for the guys who are in gals who are in the chat. I much appreciate it. It means a lot to us 49er content creators. Yeah. So I figure we jump into Trey Lance. We all, and I know you guys have seen all the stuff that was going on Twitter. The practice reports. Should we worry? Should we not worry? Is it just practice? And then, of course, we had the joint practices, and Trey played a lot better. I guess I'll ask both of you your opinion on Trey Lance. Is he what you expected he was going to be by this point in time? And if you were in charge, would you even play him in the finale? Mariah, if you want to go first.
Yeah, the preseason, I'll start with that. If I'd play him in the finale, it's tricky because, you know, the number one thing with Trey is obviously he needs reps, right? Mm-hmm. But at the same time, we don't want to play him in the preseason because we don't want him to get hurt in meaningless football. So it's kind of a balancing act. But yeah, I would play him this third game at least, for a half, maybe less, depending on how it goes. But there definitely needs to be reps there with whoever's going to be the starting O-line, and there needs to get some gelling going on there. So yeah, I would play him, and I think what I expected is what we're getting. I think some fans obviously went into it with high expectations, like he's going to be coming out lighting it up in training camp. But to me, that's practice. That's when he's supposed to be doing things he wouldn't be doing during games. He's supposed to be getting better at things, trying different things. They're, doing different things to see what he's good at, what he can't do, what he can do. So, I'm fine. I don't care if he has a 50% completion rate in training camp. Like, that doesn't scare me. That doesn't worry me. I've been a Trey Lance fan since before he got drafted here. And if it were up to me, I would have started him last season. So I'm all aboard the Trey Lance train.
Taryn?
Yeah. That's where I'm right. You need to get out of my head, girl. Because she said the exact same stuff. No, I'm with her. As far as Trey Lance, I'm a huge believer of him, just like Mariah said. I was a fan of him before, leading up to the draft. I put some money on him to be the third overall pick. I just looked at him. I looked at his game, and I thought he was a perfect fit for Kyle Shanahan. I was like, pro style offense. He, the learning curve would be a little less than maybe Justin Fields or whatever the case may be, or a Zach Wilson. So yeah, I'm all aboard the Trey Lance train. Like Mariah said, I would have started him last year. But it is what it is. Everything happens for a reason. As far as preseason goes, I would start him for at least a quarter, depending on who's our offensive line. Trent Williams is out there, Jordan Mills is out there. I feel more comfortable. If it's Colton McKivitz and whoever, Gutierrez or whoever the case may have out there, I'd probably not play him that long. Maybe a series or two, because like she mentioned, I don't want him getting hurt for meaningless football. Preseason week 3 is supposed to be the rehearsal game to get everybody kind of in a groove and stuff like that. But let's just see how it goes. Put him out there. If he plays a good series and the offensive line is looking good, then go ahead and keep playing him for at least a quarter or two. But if not, let him play a series or two, get him out of there. That would be my opinion on it. So yeah, as far as like Mariah said, as far as the bumps and bruises, I expected that. I think logical fans came into the season, thinking like, man, this kid had minimal reps in 2020 and 2021, so I expect interceptions. I expect him to make some bad choices and stuff like that. So, the kid's 22 going into his first year. I'd rather him get all these mistakes out now than when week 1 comes, hey, then he goes out there and balls. So that's my opinion on it.
Before I give you mine, I just want to answer California Bear. He says, what do you guys think about the running back situation? Hasty's making it hard for them to cut him, and Sermon should get waived. I am actually, my man, I'm going to hit on that. That's one of our topics. So if you want to hear it, stick around. We're definitely going to talk about running backs, because I definitely have some opinions on that. With me, man, Mariah made the point, is the reps. If he didn't need reps, I would sit everybody in this game, hands down. But the fact of the matter is, he does. He needs a lot of them. Whatever he's went through at camp is all what I expected. The ups, the downs, the inaccuracy, they always say, like, the mental part he has, the mental part he has. It's the repeating of the motion and of the certain, the throwing mechanics and all that stuff. That's the stuff that with reps he will get better at. His inaccuracy, just sometimes the throws that he makes, they're just highly inaccurate. Everybody remembers, and I'm not trying to compare him to Josh Allen, but I kind of am. His first year in the league, he was like, 52% completion percentage? And last year, year 3, which is usually the year most players make a jump anyways in the NFL, near 70%. And I mean, look at him. He's amazing. He's amazing. Josh Allen, listen, I don't like the Bills. I can't stand their fans, not because they're not real fans. Living in Western New York all of my life, being a 49er fan is just annoying. They're kind of like Cowboys fans. Every year is their year, but it never is. But yeah, he's got to get some reps, and I would love to see the first team offense be out there. I'm just so weary of this injury history that we have. And I know Beto from Niners Sickness Podcast always says that, Aaron, it's football. You just got to go play. And he's right. But I would say a quarter at most, get about 3 series in with the starting offense. They can put up a touchdown, maybe. Call it a day. To me, I'm more concerned with offensive line and safety. I am concerned about Trey too, but like Kyle said, he said you'll get more out of the 2 practices that they had with Minnesota than you will with anything in training camp. So, yeah, I see them going at least a quarter, maybe more, but I hope maybe they do enough in Kyle's eyes that they don't need to stay out there much past the first quarter, but we'll see.
Yeah.
Let's see here. Offensive line, 49ers throwback. I will also get to that too. So if you want to hear, stay patient. My next topic, I guess we'll jump over is I watched most of the second half and bits and pieces of the beginning of the game because my nephew came over. My nephew's a big 49ers fan, but he comes over, so family over football, right? But I was watching bits and pieces. But I will say that 2 guys that stood out to me yesterday were Drake Jackson and Javon Kinlaw. And Mariah, I'll ask you, if we're healthy this year, how scary could this pass rush be with Kinlaw, Drake Jackson, and Bosa and Eric Armstead up front? You think in 2019 all over again? You think it'd be something different, something better?
I've actually been saying that I think this defense as a whole will be better than the defense in 2019. I think that what we've been missing is Drake Jackson or, somebody on that end opposite Bosa. And I think the success of this defense leans heavily on the shoulders of Javon Kinlaw being healthy. We need him in there to be eating up those double teams. We need him in there to be stopping the run, we need him to be what we drafted him to be. And as long as he's healthy, and obviously the rest of the defense stays healthy as well, I think this defense will be, top 3 in the NFL. And this defensive line, even, without Bosa in last night, was looking scary and causing havoc, So, yeah, I think it's once we get all the starters in there, that defensive line is going to be, I feel so bad for Justin Fields week 1. Because, yeah, it's going to be scary for him.
Yeah, he's going to. Did you watch any of the clips, Taryn, before I ask you? Did you guys see any of the clips online of Justin Fields just getting abused in that preseason game yesterday? Oh, Lord, I feel for him. He's a big boy, though, so he should be able to handle some of it. But, Taryn, what'd you think? Or what's your opinion on the 2 of them and as a whole, the defensive line?
Yeah, so I'll start with Kinlaw. About a month or so, maybe 3 weeks, I don't know offhand, but Mariah and I put together a top 10 list of what players are pivotal to our success. Like who's gonna have to step up and show their worth for this team to actually get to a Super Bowl. And we put Javon Kinlaw in our top 3. It was Trey Lance, our center, our interior offensive line, and then we put Kinlaw third as far as importance. You know what I mean? Because him being healthy and being there, like Mariah said, is going to be the reason why our defensive line has success, in my opinion. I mean, he's just such a monster, and I don't even know if he'll be in on third downs, and I'm not even really worried about that. Just let him go in there for the first 2 downs so he can help us stop the runner on third down. If they're talking about moving Drake Jackson interior, kind of like the Arden Key role where he was coming inside so we can have that NASCAR package. And, Drake Jackson is showing his worth. I thought first he would probably, maybe only take about 5-6 snaps a game because we have so many other guys in Toure and, Hyder and the rest of the guys, Ebelcom. But it's looking like he's going to be having a lot more snaps than that because he's looking great out there. So, yeah, this D-line, so I go back to 2011 when we had Aldon Smith and Justin Smith and Ray McDonald and all that stuff. I think we can be as good as that defensive line. You know what I mean? That defensive line was so nasty. We have so many guys out there that are physical. So I agree with Mariah. I think top 3 defense overall, and then the fact that our defensive line, right now is healthy, and everybody knows, your secondary is even better when you have a great pass rush. So the fact that they're going to be in the quarterback's face, making them uncomfortable, is going to be a reason why I think this defense finishes in the top 3. And the fact that we have so many bodies, I think Chris Cosera is going to find some kind of rotation to keep these guys fresh. And I made this is not about the defensive line, but I made like a guess, I guess you can say, in saying that I wouldn't be surprised. I know it sounds like a lot, that this defense as a whole could have between 15 to 20 interceptions. Because I seriously think that there's going to be so many bad throws. There's going to be, I mean, we've seen in preseason now. We had 9 interceptions last year. We've had 5 interceptions in 2 preseason games. And this is our backups. This is not Emmanuel Mosley and Charvarius Ward and Jimmy Ward. So I'm so excited about this defense. I think, if we remain healthy, it wouldn't be out of question that we can be a Super Bowl team this year.
I'm a person who tries not to overreact, but you're right, Taryn. Like, these are backups that we're playing, and they're causing this much havoc. My whole thing is I want to have a heavy rotation on the defensive line, because I love Bosa, and I know like how Shanahan is on offense. He plays the hot hand. D'Amico would probably do the same thing with Bosa. Like, oh, Bosa's getting it. Well, I'm going to keep him out there, right? For me, the best way to keep and preserve and keep guys healthy is just to have a heavy rotation, constantly turning bodies out there. This team, man, they got like Kamiko Ture, Drake Jackson. I know I'm missing Kerry Hyder,
Jordan Willis,
Amenahue.
It just
yes,
goes on.
Isn't it crazy, man? Like, there's so many. We're so deep. Everybody skins the cat differently as far as how they build their team. Some teams go top heavy and they get like elite level guys, like the Rams. Like, they got the elite level defensive tackle. They got the elite level corner. They got a really, really, really fantastic quarterback, even though, he didn't do diddly poo in Detroit. And of course, they got a great coach. And then there's a team like 49ers. Like, to me, and I know this isn't about Trey Lance, but I feel like Trey Lance, how Jimmy kind of wrote, at points in 2019, kind of ran the coattails a little bit in games where maybe he wasn't doing as well, but the running game and the defense was kind of taking the game out of his hand. I think if Trey can even be as good as Jimmy was at his least Jimmy times, I think we should be all right. And I think Trey, with the ability to do the things he can do with stretching the field and his athleticism, I think that adds more even at this state of his career. So I'm bullish on the pass rush too. I really want to see them in the regular season, though. I don't want to see anybody in this finale. I really don't. And maybe it's the offense that we see a little bit of and not the defense. But from what Kyle's making it sounds like it's going to be everybody. So yeah, this defensive line. I think Hassan Ridgeway made his way back too, if I'm not mistaken, which is great. The fact that they released Robert Kimadiche tells you where we are defensive line wise as far as depth goes. So I'm not even thinking about Kevin Givens right now too. He's another good player.
And they didn't even suit him yesterday. He was right. They sat him with the starter. So
right. What they got 27 people sitting yesterday. That was insane.
That's crazy.
Somebody had a big old list, like a piece of paper, and it was like you had to click the screen to get the rest of it because like part of it was out of the screen. I was like, wow, that's a lot of players. So yeah. Let's not forget about Quantez Knight too. He's another player. Man, you're right, Taryn. Man, this could be a Super Bowl team this year. It's really all about health and how far the needle continues to go up with Trey through the season. As long as he's making some sort of progress and he's not being a deterrent and making turnovers and making silly mistakes, man.
Yeah. But here's what I say too. It's like, for Jimmy, he threw 20 touchdowns, he ran for 2, and then he had a total of like 18 turnovers. If he's better than 22 and 18, we're good. You know what I mean?
Terrible.
It is 22 and 18. He had 22 total touchdowns and 18 total turnovers. If he's better than that, I like our chances.
Isn't that crazy? Like an 8-year pro and he's making that kind of mistakes.
Yeah.
And then you're worrying that a rookie can't outclass him in that particular department. I think Trey, to me with Trey, the biggest thing with Trey to me, and I know we're not really talking about Trey, it's just the hitting those checkdowns, man, hitting those gimme throws. I know you have the ability to hit the big shots. I know the Niners are probably going to be more aggressive, but it's the throws that Jimmy hit in his sleep most of the time when he wasn't throwing it to linebackers. Is what I'm looking for Trey to improve on. You know, those intermediate throws, your digs, your slants, all that kind of stuff. Because if he does that mixed with the stuff that he could do pushing downfield with this defense at his back, all I know is this, and then we'll move on. Say it isn't this year. Say we don't do it this year. There is a good chance there's a window with this team, and if it ain't this year, it could be one of the 2 following seasons. Like, this 49er team is primed to win a Super Bowl. So we'll see. All I got to say is we will see.
Yes.
I guess we'll jump to the next question here, which is kind of for any of you who are really old, the $64,000 question. That offensive line, man. If that isn't the biggest fear besides safety in my book, I don't know what is. I'll ask you, Mariah. Man, offensive tackle's looking really trash right now. What is going on? And can you hide it? Can we mask it, or is somebody going to have to step up and kind of take that job?
Let's go like this. From a 1 to 10 level, how worried I am, 10 being the most, I'd say about an 8 at this point. And going into the start of training camp, this was my biggest worry, was the O-line. And I think, now the question with Mike McGlinchey, I've been questioning that the whole time, even before he came back with the soreness, was, is he going to be able to come back? He came back and played a little bit of time, and now he's injured, so like, that's scary. What's he going to look like? Who do we have to replace him if, he can't go for whatever reason? I think, I'm looking forward to seeing them play this next preseason game. Hopefully, I don't want Trent Williams to play because, he doesn't need to play, and why risk him?
Yep.
But at the same time, I do want to see him play because I want to see if him being in there with, the other guys helps a little. He should make up for some of their weakness, but, he can't cover the whole line. So, I'm worried. I'm worried that, going into the season, it didn't seem like there was much of a plan at center. It didn't seem like there was much of a plan, at anywhere. And, and I've been saying this all along, like the whole time we had Jimmy, it seemed like, Kyle's biggest thing was he needed a vet at the center position. That was such an important position for him to have a vet there, for him to have somebody that could call the protections, do all this. And now that we have, a young guy, we'll say a rookie, whatever, even though it's his second season, but first starting season, now all of a sudden it doesn't matter who we have at center. Just throw whoever in there, like it just, I don't know. It's so strange. Like, you would think that behind the scenes, like they have some all pro freaking lineup, at the O-line, but when we see it out there on the field, it doesn't look like that. So, I'm worried. I don't know. I mean, I have hope that, these young guys will do good, but I don't have hope in like McKivitz, like if we have to get into him starting or something like that. No, then yeah.
Taryn?
Oh, man.
We're all stressed.
I really am, man. So here's a couple of things. One, it disappoints me that you look at the season we had last year and this year, they put a better offensive line around an 8-year vet than they're putting around a first-year starting quarterback.
Preach.
That to me is irritating and to me dysfunctional, in my opinion. You can say what you want, people. Oh, you got to trust the coach. I do. I love Kyle Shanahan. I love what he's done, but you cannot go into a season with a 1-year quarterback because as you guys remember, you guys are old enough to remember this. Like Derek Carr, for instance, he came in first round pick, first overall pick, 72 sacks his first season as a starter. Like
72.
That right there,
that's like 72. Something out of Madden.
Yeah, 72 sacks is what he got. And it still might be a record, to be honest. And that's just what I'm not wanting for Trey. Like you have to set up your most prized possession with the best opportunity possible. The fact that we had Tomlinson, Trent Williams, and Alex Mack, 3 Pro Bowlers, okay? Now you lost them both, and I've been preaching this ever since the free agents started. I was like, look, I'm not crapping on the picks. I love me some Drake Jackson. I love TDP. Me, offensive line was top priority.
Mm-hmm.
I'm like, you're going to lose Tomlinson, especially, and this is what irritates me, and I don't want to go into a tangent about Jimmy being on this team.
Well, go ahead.
But
you can go into a tangent if you want.
But him being off this team, having that extra $25 million would have gave us opportunity to keep Tomlinson and put a better offensive line around Trey. The fact that we have, Aaron Banks, who I know we have to trust because he was a second-round pick last year. This and that. Got Jake Brendel. You have Spencer Burford, who's looking good. I'm loving that pick. But now, like you said, and I've been saying this, and you can ask Mariah. I've been saying it for months. I've played football. Offensive linemen, their best. I mean, yeah, they have to have good hands, but their best, I guess you can say, thing that they need is leverage, being able to use their legs to push back and push stuff like that. He had a gruesome knee injury. And I told Mariah, I go, I'm okay with him being healthy, but is he still strong? Because he's not being able to squat for months. And you have to be consistent on your weightlifting being in the NFL. The fact that he couldn't squat for months, how much strength did he lose? And the fact that he's hurt again bothers me. Colton McKivitz, not looking good. I prefer Jordan Mills.
He looked bad last night too.
Yeah, he did. I would prefer him over Colton McKivitz if we're starting week 1, just because. But yeah, right tackle. And it's funny, I thought the interior line was going to be the more issue, but it looks like right tackle's even worse. So I'm worried, man. I just hope that they figure this out. If it was up to me, starting week 1, if Mike McGlinchey can't go, it's Mills, Burford, Brendel, Banks, and Trent Williams. That's who I'm starting week 1. I feel like that's the best line for Trey at this point in time, August 21st, 2022. Could change. But, man, it's such an issue, man. I'm so worried about Trey Lance. Like, I just hope that they can, mask that. I told Mariah, I was like, man, if McGlinchey can't start, if Jordan Mills can just be Tom Compton, which is funny to say, I'm okay with that because Tom Compton played pretty well when Mike McGlinchey went down last year. Mm-hmm. So if he can at least just be that, I would be a little bit more secure. But, man, this offensive line, it worries me, man. I wanted it to be our first. I know we didn't have a first-round pick when we were picking, number 63 last year, 62, whatever it was. I was like, offensive lineman. I was banging the table. Nope, Drake Jackson. Went an offensive lineman the next pick. Then went TDP. Both could be great picks. But, man, I feel like looking back at it, like, I don't know if it was a good decision. I don't know. I'm going to be patient, see what goes on. But I'm just worried about it because I say this. Your offense as a whole is only as good as your offensive line. So you can't run the football and you can't pass the ball if you have no run protection and no pass protection. That's all I'm going to say.
You're beat, really.
Yeah, you're beat, man. Like So that's my worry going into the season. So as far as week 1 in this offensive line.
Emiliano, I hope I said your name right. And I love the word hubris because I picked up this word when I watched The Last Jedi. When Luke was if you guys are Star Wars fans, Luke was talking about how the Jedi allowed the training of Darth Vader to happen right under their nose. Anyways, he says the hubris, or like the arrogance, to not get the O-line in order when you're putting the most costly asset under center is disconcerting. Completely agree.
Absolutely.
You'll put an offensive line in front of a guy who can't move, who's made of glass, who can't throw outside the numbers, who makes costly mistakes in playoff games, but yet you're bringing in this kid who's like, a lot of people want to compare to, this quarterback or Josh Allen or whatever, and you're putting through him with an offensive line that is, it's scary. I was thinking about Jordan Mills too last night, right? And then I watched him play, and he looked like garbage.
Yeah.
McKivitz is boo-boo. He's not good.
Justin School's trash.
School. Somebody made a good point. Somebody made a good point. You ever notice how many times he's on the ground during a game? That man's always tipping over. Like, I don't understand what's going on with that. I never was a School fan to begin with. I know he did some wonders in 2019, whatever. I was never a fan of his. This offensive line, man, you're right, Taryn. It's kind of like the glue that gets this offense going. If they can run the ball, then they could pass the ball, and it all works together. If you can't pass block and you can't make holes for the running game, then what what are we doing? Like, come on. I don't know necessarily if they still would have paid Lake and Tomlinson, Taryn, because I know that, a lot of teams don't give that kind of money to, say, like a left guard.
Sure, true, yeah.
But maybe gone and got somebody in free agency that was equal or slightly less, slightly more affordable that you could plug right in there. Now, I will say Aaron Banks and Spencer Burford have both played well. So we were worried about the interior when it's the right tackle really, and that we're really going to have the issue with. So hopefully McGlinchey can get healthy before the start of the season. He's never been a great pass blocker to begin with, but he is a good run blocker. So we have a little bit of time. So maybe we can get our house in order before, what does the season start? September 11th?
Yes. Yep.
So, we got a little bit of time. The sky isn't falling yet. We're expecting so much out of this team this year, and we see such a glaring hole with our eyes as fans. And you're like, how does the organization not see the same thing? But that's why they make the big money. Hopefully, who knows? Maybe there's a mid-season trade and they bring in a right tackle. Who knows?
Hopefully. It's kind of scary to say this, but what do you guys think if there's an injury, to Mike McGlinchey week 1? And I know Mariah's going to hate this because she can't stand the guy. Daniel Brunskill.
I hate Brunskill too.
No, so would he be the favorite to be the right tackle if McGlinchey can't go, since Kyle is used to putting him on that right side of the line?
I hope not. He's been a problem. He's been a problem since 2019. He was no good in 2019 or in that whole Super Bowl push. Chris Jones owned our ass in that Super Bowl.
Yes,
and we haven't got better in that area since that time. Why? Like, one of the main reasons Jimmy Garoppolo, besides him just like coming up small in big games because he's kind of a choke artist, I guess. That interior offensive line in that Super Bowl was pathetic. We couldn't block. We couldn't stop anything. Chris Jones had his day. So we'll see. Like I said, we got a little bit of time. We're gonna try to be positive here, but like Mariah said, we keep it real. So if people don't like the fact that we're pooping on the offensive line, I don't know what to tell you. I guess we can jump to running backs because there's a lot of question in the running back position too. A lot of people, including myself, made a statement last year that Trey Sermon was going to take charge this year, and a lot of people were down on him, and he was going to do this, that, and the other, and he's done none of that. Instead, we have a guy like Jordan Mason, who's undrafted, go figure, right? Who looks better than all the running backs right now, not named Elijah Mitchell. So my question to you guys is, and I'll also put this question out there too. Jeff Wilson Jr. hasn't dressed. I don't know if one or two this week or last 2 weeks. Is he a trade possibility? And if so, are you comfortable letting him go? Either Mariah, you can go first. You can touch any of those, all of those, one of those, whatever.
With Jeff Wilson, yes. I definitely think it is something weird that he hasn't dressed. He's not on the sidelines with the rest of the starters that aren't dressed. He's not there. He's excused. So there's definitely something going on there. I would trade him. When we did our roster breakdown before training camp, I didn't have him making my roster anyway. And I think with, Mason obviously showing up the way he has, it just makes that move a little bit easier for me. Trey Sermon, obviously, I don't know. I'm a huge TDP fan, so I'm going into the season thinking that TDP is running back 2 anyway.
He looked okay yesterday. He didn't look great, but he looked better than Sermon.
They're running behind a shit, so
yeah, they definitely
we just talked
are.
about how bad the O-line was, and then we have our third string out there. So, I don't know how much people expect these running backs to be doing out there. So, if it were up to me, I want to see Sermon, this next preseason game with the starters out there, with Trey Lance out there, with the starting offensive line. And if he still looks like poo, then, he might be a trade candidate,
I love that word.
There's people talking about him getting cut and shit. Like, I don't think that's going to happen. If anything, he'll get traded or he'll be on the team. He was drafted too high to just cut him.
Yep.
But yeah, to me, I would have that's if Trey Sermon, obviously keeping Trey Sermon. I would have Mitchell, TDP, Trey Sermon, and Mason as my 4 running backs, leaving Hasty and Jeff Wilson off. So whether you trade them, whether you whatever, I don't care.
Would you put any of those guys on the practice squad?
I mean, if they can revert, if nobody picks Hasty up, obviously, yeah, stash him on the practice squad. But I think, at this point, he would probably get picked up.
I saw a comment here. Go ahead, Taryn. You can go. I was just looking for a comment here.
Yeah, no worries, man. Yeah, this position, man. Mariah and I had a show yesterday with Steph Sanchez, and I said on offense, on offense, running back is a head scratcher, just like I feel like on defense is corner. Like who's gonna make this team? So running back is tricky, man. Like I watched the game, and Trey Sermon did not look good, but neither did the offensive line, like we said. And I get it. Like TDP, he did great. He had that one run where like he broke that tackle and kept. I mean, great balance. I mean, he got hit low and he still stayed up on his feet, and then he trucked the guy. You know what I mean? Like that was a great run. I like I'm with Mariah. I think TDP initially gets the nod, behind Elijah Mitchell to be the starting running back if there's an injury. I think Trey Sermon does make the team, and if he does right now, I think he's probably like our 4th tailback from what I've seen. I just don't think he gets cut. I think he'll get traded before he gets cut. If somebody like Mike McDaniel calls and says, hey, I need a running back, since he's familiar with him from last year, or like somebody like that. So I think Sermon and Jeff Wilson could be trade candidates. But I think initially, so when we did our roster breakdown, Mariah said she didn't have Jeff Wilson making it. I, for one, do. Just because, and it sucks because I feel like, and Steph said something interesting yesterday about roster politics, about, well, I'm going to go ahead and keep the guy who I'm familiar with. And, this, and that. And I told, me and Mariah, I've been talking about this for weeks. And I was like, Kyle sometimes is too loyal to a fault.
Yep.
You know what I mean? Like, man, I get you want to be loyal, and, this guy's been in your system for this many years, but you have to go with who's better. That's when it comes down to. If I'm Kyle and I'm sitting in the meeting, if us three were on the Niners and we're making the decisions for the final 53-man roster, I expect it to be some arguments of like, oh, we need to keep him, this and that. But at the same time, if we're looking through OTAs, and these coaches have eyes for talent, you know what I mean? Like you can kind of see from day one who's going to be good, or who has this promise. So if you're looking at a Jordan Mason, you're just like, man, this guy just has it. He's a couple years younger. He's way cheaper than Jeff Wilson. If you see that he's better right now, and if you're a Super Bowl team, that's who you keep. I don't care how many years Jeff Wilson has on this team, but I'm just looking at it like I'm looking at it not what I would do, but what Kyle would do. So I'm thinking it's probably going to be Mitchell, TDP, Jeff Wilson, and Sermon. I think they're going to try to stash Jordan Mason on the practice squad. And I think Hasey's kind of like one of those guys, like, if he leaves, he leaves, but whatever the case may be. But Jordan Mason, I think it could be one of those things too, where how sometimes there's a mysterious injury that happens, where it's like,
nobody knows about.
Nobody knows about all of a sudden, because you want to save, you don't want to cut him because you're scared,
right?
But you want to be able to maintain him for a few weeks to do some reevaluation. So
you can stash. That's the way of stashing in the NFL, which is kind of cool.
Yeah. So
they don't really know, right?
Yeah. So that's my opinion. I hate to lose Jordan Mason. He has, like I said, he's cheaper. He's like 3 years younger. He has a lot of promise. However, I just feel like sometimes Kyle is sometimes too loyal to a fault, where he's just like, that's my guy. I want to keep him, And me and Mariah talked about this before, and you look at 2 years ago, our roster wasn't as good as it is now. So maybe Kyle's looking at us like, well, I don't have to keep a guy who's been on my team for a few years. I can do this, because we've always talked about the Jalen Hurd, who stayed a year too long, probably. The Dante Pettises, who Kyle was like trying to make better, but had no choice pretty much but to keep them because we had no talent. Now it's not like that. So it's going to be tough, man. Running back, to me, on offense is probably the toughest thing to evaluate right now of who's going to stay on this roster.
I want to hit this quick comment before I go to Corey Davis's super chat. Emiliano, again, I hope I say your name right. He says, Mason is objectively talented, but I want him to run in the first quarter so he can get at least a run against the second stringers and not against practice squad players. At least get a cleaner evaluation. I agree. From who he was going against, though, as far as cuts and movement, and that power that he ran with up the middle, was that touchdown called back that he ran in there? I forget.
There was
Yeah,
a
I think so.
penalty.
But
like
it was a
holding call or
beautiful.
something.
That was a dirty run, man. That dude tried to arm tackle him, that defender, and he just was like, and like, it's tough, man. Because I'm a big Jeff Wilson Jr. fan, and I was down on him early in camp from people who were there, like Rohan Chakravarti and others. They said that he actually looked like one of the better running backs in camp. So I take the word of people that were actually there and not someone like me who's just spitballing. Elijah Mitchell, TDP. I know I'm forgetting somebody right now.
Hasty, maybe.
I always thought that Hasty would kind of be the guy on the outside looking in along with Jeff Wilson Jr., just because I think Jordan Mason makes the roster. But if we end up keeping either two of them, either one, I think it's going to be, say we keep a Jeff Wilson Jr., that's the only way you could really keep someone like Jordan Mason would be to get him to the practice squad. But if people are seeing what he's doing in the preseason, you don't have a shot in hell for that to happen. So I don't know what they're going to do. All I know is that Trey Sermon, as of now, has been extremely underwhelming in his career. He really hasn't done much. Someone earlier in the comments says he doesn't look like a system fit, which I agree with. But you're right. Kyle sometimes he's loyal to a fault, and he'll give guy with way too much slack who should any other team be cut. But hopefully we get a cleaner evaluation this coming Thursday with some starting offensive linemen in there, and maybe Sermon gets a little bit of run behind that line. But yeah, he didn't look good yesterday. The best one, of course, was Jordan Mason. But I just hope Elijah Mitchell is healthy to start the season. Like, what's up with that, man?
Yeah.
This guy is like a walking blue tent, man, every time. Like, he's really good when he plays, but he's like, I don't know if he just doesn't take care of his body. I don't know if he can't play through like little injuries. You know, some guys will play through things while other guys will take the day off or the week off or a couple of weeks off. What is it with him? Is he he can't play through pain, or is he just? I know me as a person. I have bad genetics when it comes to joints and this and that, and I've had 2 shoulder surgeries already. Some people can go their whole life, never have a surgery, and they'll be 80 years old with no problem. I'm one of those people. I think by the time I'm 65, I'm going to be hunched over, and that's really messed up. So I don't know. Maybe it's a genetics thing. I don't know.
Can I say something real quick?
Go right ahead.
So it's just funny because we had talked about behind the backstage. We were saying how like me and Mariah and I went to the draft party, for Mandalay Bay, and it was funny because we all got to go up to Elijah Mitchell and talk to him and shake his hand and stuff like that. And I told him, like, hey, you look a little bigger. And he was like, yeah. He goes, I put on 10 pounds of muscle so I can withstand the NFL punishment. He said that himself. So I'm just like, wow. Yeah, he told me that. Yeah, he told me that. Because I noticed it. I'm like, he looks a little bit thicker. You know what I mean? And he said it. Yeah, he's like, I grew up. So it's crazy how, he even put that in. It's funny because I said this back in April, and then everybody's been saying it, going to the training camps and stuff. Oh, Elijah Mitchell looks bigger. He looks bigger. Like Grant Cohn's been saying it. So, I mean, so he has, but he's still having these little nagging injuries, which is kind of scary. So like you said, you make a good point. Like, is it just because it's just like his body and the way he is? Like, is he just one of those people who gets injured pretty often? Like, we don't know. And in college, he played kind of like in a lower level division at Louisiana Monroe. But however, he shared carries with Trey Ragas or Tony Ragas, or whatever the other guy's name is. So I don't know if he, him having a full load is a bit too much for him. You know what I mean?
My brother made a good point. He's a Dolphins fan, so I'm pulling for him this year. I hope they do well, although Tua doesn't look really that good. Before I give my opinion, Corey Davis, I just want to say thank you. You are a regular viewer of the channel. I appreciate the $5 super chat. Thank you very much. You are always here. You support everybody's channel. You're everywhere. So I just want to say thank you very much to that. As far as what my brother was saying, he said that, the way you guys as a team, your offense and the way your players play, he's like, is it really a mystery that guys get hurt when you guys have such a physical style? Your receiver looks for contact. Your tight end looks for contact. You got all these players that, instead of avoiding contact, seem to embrace it.
Yeah.
And then you wonder why these same guys always have these injuries. Kittle, Debo, he's hopping out of the game. Uh-oh, what happened? Is it a big serious injury? No, he dinged this or he dinged that. And as much as I love having a team that's physical, that imposes their will, I wouldn't mind to have some finesse guys on the team who step out of bounds and live to play another day. And again, I get criticized quite often by people who say it's just football and that's what you got to deal with. I understand that, but there's teams that in the NFL every year seem to be fully healthy or close to being healthy, and the 49ers always seem to have these nagging injuries with the same players or the same position group every single freaking year. How many times have we set people to say the Niners have too many running backs, and how many times have we hit the season and we always have an issue with not having enough running backs?
Yeah.
So like next year, I could guarantee you too, right now, we're going to draft another running back, or we're going to have another free agent, non-drafted free agent come in on this team, and he's going to blow our doors off again. That's just the way that it is. We overload on
the undrafted running backs and stuff.
Yeah, don't touch anybody in the draft. Go wait till the 5th round. The 5th round's our magic round anyways. We seem to draft all our future stars in the 5th round. So I don't know what it is, man. Like, I feel like every time you waste you waste draft capital on tight ends or running backs, you always live to regret it. I just don't Jordan Mason plays like a guy who's trying to make this team.
Yes.
If you watch him, he looks like he's trying to make this team. He plays just guys that don't have a guaranteed future, just have a different swag about them when they play. Yep. They look pissed off. They look like they got something to prove. Man, that touchdown that was called back, dude, that was a dirty run. He punished that guy, and I love it. Again, with that kind of running style, he's probably going to get injured at some point. So,
Aaron, you know what I will say, man? So, I'm with you on that. It's like, you look at, and there's still time for Trey Sermon. There's still time to see what TDP can do. So, we'll see how the story ends. But, you look at like the Joe Williams, who he spent the draft capital for when his first year, when he banged the table for him in the 4th round. Like, he didn't pan out, so stuff like that. But this is what I will say. I played football for a long time. I love being physical. Like, I love being physical. However, there's a place and time for it. So here's my thing. Like I see, I think Mariah, you mentioned this before. It's like, is it necessary when you already got a first down to take on 2 people and try to run them over and only get like a half a yard? Like, is that really worth your body to have all that punishment to get nowhere? You know what I mean? Like, I get it. Like, like before they step out of bounds or like, boom, let me hit you real quick. Like, it's not necessary. People used to look, and I look at people like the Torrey Holtz back in the day, the Marvin Harrisons, who would like sit there and avoid contact.
Jerry Rice.
You can call them soft all you want, but look, their careers were long lasting because they played smarter. I get it. I love being physical. I love how Anquan Bolden played, and Steve Smith Sr., that physical dog mentality. But there's a time and place when to be physical and when to be smart. And okay, I got a first down. And let me take on these 2 blockers. Okay, like the Kittle versus the Satan situation. That was needed.
But you still don't tell me you weren't worried that he was going to hurt something when he was getting dragged.
No, I did, but I feel like
that's what I was thinking.
No, I did, but I feel like it was warranted.
Yes,
because he had to do that because it was like, man, let me get us into field goal range to win this game. That right there, I get it. But when you're like I said, it's like the 2nd quarter, you've gotten a first down, you're right by the sidelines, just run out of bounds. Don't hit a guy to get another 2-3 inches of yards. And I get it. It's a game of inches. I get it. But sometimes it's about being smart of when to be physical, if I'm making sense.
No, you make total sense. Yeah. One of the comments that was here, he goes, need to be smarter when unnecessary contact. 49er Minded said, remember the Jimmy Garoppolo hit against the Chiefs?
Yeah.
Trying to get a couple extra yards with his little puny body. I mean, that was never going to go well. Yeah. I want to hit up my boy Pinor because he's always about saying what he really feels.
That's for sure.
He is, and I'm not making. I'm talking. He's really honest.
Yeah,
he said
we know him very well.
Yes,
he says Sermon is a certified bust like Catboy Pettis. Pinor, I couldn't stand Dante Pettis. Could not stand him. Listen, I'm not trying to tell everybody I'm a tough guy because I'm really not. I'm a big dude, but I'm not necessarily. Like, I'm not going to go out and start fights, but I can tell you, Pettis was soft. He looked soft. He played soft. He looked like he didn't want to be there.
Mm-hmm.
As far as Sermon, I don't think he's soft. I just think maybe he's just not made for this offense, or maybe he is a bust. Maybe he just because you draft somebody high doesn't mean necessarily they're going to turn out to be a good player.
Yeah.
I mean, some of the best players in the NFL are guys that Tom Brady, Joe Montana, people that people gave up on, or like, oh, Joe Montana's a skinny little guy with a weak arm. It looks like a kicker. And then he goes out there and he wins 4 Super Bowls. So Tom Brady was, Sherman, I don't know how the Niners are going to evaluate him. I'm sure he's going to make the team. Like Mariah said, there's no way they move on from him. If they do move on from him, it's probably via trade. Catboy Pettis, you're right. We just didn't have any players really to say like, okay, we can cut this guy because we got someone else in his place. We didn't have anybody. So, speaking of injuries and guys being injury prone or guys who have had lots of injuries, I'm really concerned about the Jimmy Ward injury. The safety position was a concern of ours going into this season, mainly because of Jaquaski Tart moving on. Hufanga's looked good in camp and in the practices so far. We haven't seen him in a full regular season game against real good competition. But the Jimmy Ward injury and talking about how severe it was from Kyle Shanahan, that has me super concerned. One, who plays in his place, and two, how for Mariah and Taryn, I'll give you both a 1 to 10 for your concern level about the Jimmy Ward situation. Mariah, you can go first.
I would say about a 5. I mean, we need Jimmy Ward, but the teams that we're playing week 1, week 2, even if he's not back in time, I think that we'll be fine. George Odom didn't, he had that pick last night. He didn't look too bad out there. And that was without Hufanga playing, so I think, between Odom and Moore should be back, that they'll be able to fill in against Dante Pettis with the Chicago Bears and, Seattle, whoever the hell they have and whatever. But if Jimmy's not back by, week 3 for sure, then there's a reason to be concerned.
Taryn?
Yeah, I agree. Before I start, can I make a comment to somebody in the comment section?
Yeah, go right ahead.
Ray Rudo. So, yes, we're calling out players for being soft, but there's a difference between being soft and being a finesse player. Those are not equal. That's not the same. You can be finesse and still not be as soft. So I just wanted to point that out to you. I don't know what you're trying to get at with that, but anyway, as far as Jimmy Ward, I'm not worried unless it's week 3. Week 3, when we go to Denver, that's going to be tough. Russell Wilson, Jerry Jeudy, Cortland Sutton. Then I'd be a little worried because, somebody get beat in the back end. I'm not going to sit here and be funny and try to be disrespectful. But week 1, like we just mentioned before, we have the Chicago Bears.
Mm-hmm.
If we can't beat the Chicago Bears, if everybody else is healthy, if Charvarius Ward's in, Emmanuel Mosley's in, and we have Jimmy Ward, we still should be able to dog walk this team.
Yes.
I'm sorry.
No, I agree.
Darnell Mooney is a good receiver. I won't take nothing from him. Equanimous St. Brown has never gotten any playing time with the Packers. N'Keal Harry's hurt. Dante Pettis, we just talked about him. I'm not worried about, facing these type of guys at wide receiver with the offensive line that Chicago Bears have. So yeah, if he's like 80%, I would still keep him out. Just say, you know what, we'll wait another week. We'll maybe put you against Seattle. But week 1, if he's still not 100%, leave him out. Week 2, I expect him to probably be back in full force and stuff like that. So yeah, I'm not concerned with Jimmy Ward because we just talked about how our defense is probably going to be top 3. I mean, George Odom showed some promise. I don't know if it's going to be him. I mean, didn't he have an interception against the Vikings?
Mm-hmm.
George Odom
It was a pressure by, I think, Drake Jackson.
Yeah. So George Odom
was initially washed out of the play and then made his way back around and got in his face.
Yeah.
Beautiful play, by the way.
So I think, whether it's George Odom, whether it's Tarvarius Moore, I think we'll be fine a week without Jimmy Ward as long as everybody else is healthy. Now, if we go in, it's still the NFL. We go in, we're missing Emmanuel Mosley, we're missing Tarvarius Ward and Jimmy Ward. I'm concerned.
Yes.
But those two, if they're in, I'm not worried at all. And it's not an arrogant thing. It's just we're just a better football team.
David McNew says if Jimmy Ward needs more time, give it to him. I'd rather have a healthy Jimmy Ward for 13 games than an injury-linging Jimmy Ward for 16. Completely agree. Listen, man, you can't sleep on either of these first two teams, though. I know you guys aren't, but I'm just saying some people are like, it's automatic. Nothing's automatic in the NFL, man.
Absolutely. You're right.
Nothing's automatic in the NFL. I mean, Trey still ain't proven. Like, I love Trey to death, and I think Trey's going to be good. But listen, man, it's the NFL. Anything can happen. There could be a crazy, weird turnover in the beginning of the game, and Chicago's up 14 points, and we never catch up, whatever. I think we beat Chicago and Seattle handily, hopefully. Even if we don't, I don't care as long as we beat them. But yeah, give me Jimmy Ward in week 3 against a team like that who's got all those players. And, you say what you want about Russell Wilson. We never beat him other than like 3 games. So
Exactly.
Niner fans like to have this like revisionist history. Some of us, if that makes sense. Is it revisionist history? I don't know. But they like to almost talk all this smack about Seattle, but like, Seattle owned our ass.
Mm-hmm.
They own us. We've done diddly poo to Seattle for 10 years. So this is our time. So we better not be losing games up in Seattle to Geno Smith and whoever the other quarterback is.
Drew Lock,
man.
Yeah.
But I'm concerned more about both corners than I am about the safety, mainly because both of them are dinged. Now, with training camp and preseason, a lot of it is always you just gotta, proceed with caution, and you keep guys out even if they're a little bit hurt, even if they're just sore. Like Danny Gray had a little bit of a ding up with his hip and this and that, probably from just taking a shot or hitting the ground hard or something. But he's been all right. So, to me, see what you need to see in this preseason 3, and then get people out of that game, and let's get ready for Chicago Bears, and let's beat the freaking brakes off these guys. They shouldn't beat us. They got one of the worst skill position teams in the NFL, both sides of the football. The only reason they make a game of this is like a special teams error or a turnover or 2. I think the Niners, if they play their kind of ball, bully ball with Debo and Kittle and the running game, and Trey does a little bit of Trey stuff, we should be all right. But, it does worry me with Jimmy Ward and in the second, mainly just the secondary as a whole, because that was kind of our big thing going in about how good they were and how deep we are. And sure enough, just like the running back position, we're coming up on the season and we got everybody dinged up. So it's like you can never have enough. Even when you think you have enough, get 2 more guys, draft another 2 corners or bring in another guy from free agency. The fact that we got rid of Darqueze Dennard, and people have been talking like maybe he'll stick around kind of and maybe come back some point in the season if we need some corner depth or something. I'm hoping that's the case. I hope he doesn't get picked up. I hope he just kind of floats around the team, because it's always nice to have a guy you can kind of fall back to, say if there's an injury or something. But yeah, that pretty much bangs all the topics out. We already talked about who should play. My question was, should the starters play Thursday? We've covered that, but yeah, I think with us, you have to see something from Trey this Thursday, but I don't need to see a ton. Like I said, if they have a couple successful drives, a couple touchdowns, and 2 successive drives, would you guys take them out after 2 successive drives if they score 2 touchdowns?
Oh, absolutely.
You know what I mean?
Absolutely.
Like, do you need to see anything more than that? No. Maybe they score 10 points in their first 2 drives and they look efficient. I say yank them.
Yeah.
Trey really is the only one who needs the reps. Everybody else is pretty much, this team, other than a couple positions, is pretty much like you already know who's going to make the team as far as like starters go. This is one of the most non-mystery teams that we've had in quite a long time. We pretty much all know who the starters are going to be, other than like a handful of dudes. So, I will be interested to see week 1 how much run Drake Jackson gets. And if we use him kind of in like a D4 type of thing where we bring him in on 3rd down, like you said, like a NASCAR package where we, maybe we put Drake Jackson and Nick Bosa on the same side or something, and kick somebody out else, maybe bring in on an Omanehu or somebody else on the edge, whatever it takes, man. And I hate that name, by the way, because that's the name of that Jets dude, but whatever it takes to beat them, I don't care. Put them out of their misery. I had a super fun time with you guys. You guys are super chill. I'm sorry I didn't do this sooner with you two. I said it a lot and didn't come through, so I appreciate it very much for you guys coming on. It's about an hour. I figure that's the magic number, little bit at around an hour, past an hour. I think that's a good time to kind of, nice and concise. We got all our points across. Is there anything either of you want to share, whether about your channel or something that's happening, a giveaway, anything like that you guys want to talk about?
I just want to say thank you for having us on. Anytime you want us, we'll be here. Had a lot of fun. We're having, like I had mentioned earlier, the anniversary show on Friday. This Friday coming up the 26th. Starting at 4:30, we have a lot of different content creators that'll be coming on. Nitty Gritty, Nothing But Niners, a bunch of guys are coming on. We have a lot of giveaways we're doing throughout the show. So yeah, you come hang out with us, win some prizes. Thank you again for having us.
Absolutely.
Yeah, no, same here, man. You can. Most people in the chat would know who we are and stuff, but for the people who don't, 49 Faithful Elite podcast on YouTube, we try to do 1 or 2 shows a week. And like Mariah said, this Friday, August 26th at 4:30 Pacific time, so it'll be 7:30 your time.
Okay.
We're going to be having our show, and then we're going to be doing some giveaways, just to show some honor to the people who've been following us for the whole year. Like, we started off, as everybody does, starts off pretty small. We've gotten like a pretty good following now. People have stuck around. Our channel has gotten bigger, and we've seen it get bigger and stuff. So yeah, it's just a blessing for us to keep doing what we're doing. It's so fun to me. Like I talk football all day with coworkers, my brother, whatever the case may be. So to do it on the platform, so to do it on a platform like this and just be able to engage with other 49er fans is awesome to me. So
I agree on all fronts. I think I work till 7:30 on Friday, so I might jump in at some point after I get out of work just to drop in and say what's up.
Yeah, we'll be there for a while because we have there's a whole lineup coming on, so not everybody can come at once. So we're kind of like just cycling through people in and out of the show. So We'll be there for a little while.
Yeah.
Real quick, Corey Davis asked this before, and I didn't ask. I don't think I responded to him. He real quick, who do you guys want as the backup for Trey Lance? I kind of would. Oh, go ahead. Go ahead.
I mean, I kind of like Purdy, like he's decent, I guess. I wouldn't say a Sudfeld fan. However, I think, maybe after this year, Purdy I could see him as a backup. I just think with Lance's first season, as starting, like it makes sense to have a vet backing him up, somebody that has the experience, that started games in this league, everything. I don't know what help, Purdy would be behind Lance, like when he's just trying to figure out shit his own self. So, maybe after this season, if we can get him to the practice squad or whatnot, I could see that working out. But yeah, I would go with the vet to back up Lance this season.
Same here. I'd go with Sudfeld, and I agree with Mariah. I think by next season it could be Brock Purdy, but right now I think just having that presence behind him, and Sudfeld seems like a good dude, like somebody who doesn't sit there and complain and stuff like that. It seems like he's a film junkie as well. So I think him and Lance kind of work well together. So yeah, I think Sudfeld, at least for 2022, he's earned to be the backup.
I think the consensus that you guys talk is kind of the consensus with Niners fans is Sudfeld for this year, but a lot of people see if Purdy can make this roster, somehow they can stash him. He just has that. Somebody said he's kind of don't attack me for this. I heard this in another stream, a little bit of a Jimmy Garoppolo thing, like with the dinking and the dunking, and he's efficient. He can move though a little bit. He doesn't have the strongest arm, so I definitely could see backup written all over him. But this is like Mariah said, he's still got to find his way in this league too, just like Trey Lance does. But hey, it's better to have. I don't know if we're going to carry 3, but I mean, I wouldn't be totally against it. I don't think it's going to happen, but yeah, I think Sudfeld is the best choice just because of game reps in the NFL. Brock Purdy just doesn't have it. I mean, he's a 7th rounder for a reason. So, but I'm definitely down with Brock Purdy making this team in the future. Hopefully they can keep him or stash him or whatever, but
yeah.
We will see, guys. We got a couple of a couple of weeks, and then we'll be talking real football for real, and then we'll get all stressed and pissed off, and sure I'll have a ton to say. I'll have a ton to say for sure, but I just want to say thanks to the chat. Thank you for sticking in here tonight. It's been a pretty strong amount of people in here for me. I'm not a film junkie or a TV analyst or radio analyst, so when I say something strong for me, it's a different level for other people. But you guys are awesome. I watch your channel all the time, and you guys are really chill, and I get that vibe here. I'm real comfortable talking to both of you. So it's been fun. I would love to do this again in the future. Trying to broaden out and start talking and touching other content creators instead of kind of keeping myself insulated with similar people all the time.
Yeah.
I think sometimes you can get a little too comfortable and just kind of fall into the same habits instead of like, you know what? I keep talking about these people and I keep saying I'm going to have them on, and then I don't do it for 6 months. And I'm like, I'm going to actually do it this time. So
maybe we can have you on our channel soon.
Yeah,
I'd be totally down with it. But I just want to say thank you to everybody once again in the chat. Thank you for the super chat from Corey Davis. Thanks for all the comments. As usual, super supportive chat. Not a lot of fooling around. Till next time, everyone, stay safe, stay healthy, and everybody take care. We'll see you on the flip side. See ya.